Time is running out. 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 Time is running. Time is running out. Time is running out. What if my best days aren't over? They can't be over. They can't be over now. Time is running out. What if my best days aren't over? They can't be over now. Time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out.
Hello everyone, Graham here. You will notice that today I am Batman without Robin. Jim is unfortunately can't be with us today, so there is just me. In the background, we've got my good friend John, who is going to work his magic and do the slides. So we've got the usual mix of fun and frolics. We've got some MCQs, we've got a calculation, we've got a random spinning wheel, we've got a balance the skills activity, we've got lots to do. So we're going to kick off as usual with our first activity, which is name the business. So under that question mark is the name of a business. Under each number, there is a clue that alludes to the name of that business. If after you read a clue, you think you know the business, please, it's not little, type it into the chat window. So should we have a look at clue number one? It was founded in 1983. So if you're thinking of a business that you're thinking, oh, I know one, but was founded in 1982, then it's not right, because this business was founded in 1983. Should we have a look at clue number two? So clue number two, the first shop, so we know it sells things, located in Hampstead in London. That's down south for those who don't know. So the first shop was located in Hampstead in London, and it was founded in 1983. Clue number three. Now it has around 697 shops in over 15 countries. So 697 shops, so it's grown exponentially, and it is now in over 15 countries. Now, over 15 countries, it could be 50 countries, it could be 16 countries. We don't know at this moment. All we do know is it's over 15. Clue number four. Ready to eat. Now, that is a big clue. So it obviously sells something to do with food. So lots of people joining us now. Please type something into the chat window if you think you know the name of this business. I think we've beaten the audience. Clue number five. Sandwiches and food on the go. So that is the final clue. Sandwiches. There may be a bit delay. I can't see an answer yet in the chat window. Should we reveal the answer? It is pret-a-manger. Pret-a-manger, as they say where I live. Pret-a-manger. There isn't a pret-a-manger in Sunderland. I don't believe. Maybe that says something about the demographic or one of our pret-a-manger's growth strategy. Let's look at our first MCQ. So we've got a question. We've got four possible answers. All you need to do is type the corresponding letter into the chat window. Oh, we saw, yes, someone did get it right, Adam. I've just seen that. Well done. Do you know what, Adam? When I was at school, I used to have to get the head teacher's sandwiches. Yeah, I was known as the teacher's pret. So, an advantage of a flat organisational structure is it A, more opportunities for promotion? Is it higher labour costs, which is B? Is it longer chain of command, C? Is it quicker communication? So what we're looking for is symptoms or features of a flat organisational structure. Is it A, is it B, is it C, is it D? Please have a go. So I think the Monopolies and Mergers Commission might have a word with Adam here, because Adam seems to be the only one typing an answer in the chat window, which is no bad thing. Have a go. Do you think it's A, B, C, or D? You've got 25% chance of getting it right. Let's have a look at the answer, please. It's, of course, quicker communication. So, more opportunities for promotion. We probably associate that with a tall structure where there are more layers. More layers means, potentially more opportunities for promotion. Obviously, a flat organisational structure is usually being delayed where middle managers have been stripped out. Therefore, labour costs generally are lower. It has a shorter chain of command because there are fewer layers. Because there are fewer layers, there is quicker communication. Okay, next question. So we've got 4 motivational theorists here. Which theory, or whose theory I'll start again. Whose theory of motivation is known as scientific management? Is it Herzberg, Taylor, Maslow, and Mayo? If you're an AQA student, don't worry, Mayo's not on the AQA specification. So you don't need to know about Mayo. Therefore, I wouldn't have asked that. So you can basically rule out that, to be fair. So is it Herzberg, Taylor, or Maslow? Because I'm not going to put an answer that's not on the specification, of course. So is it Herzberg? Is it Taylor? Is it Maslow? Is it Mayo? Definitely one of those. Well, A, B, or C. So lots coming in now. We've got some people thinking it's A, some people think it's B. Let's narrow it down. It is either A or B. And the answer is, of course, it's Taylor. Taylor Scientific Management. Herzberg, his theory is the 2-factor theory of motivators and hygiene factors. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, Maslow and Herzberg, sometimes get examined specifically, and often students do get them mixed up. Sometimes getting Herzberg and Maslow mixed up. But Taylor's theory is known as scientific management. Okay, next question. So it's our 2-statement questions here. Why do we call them 2-statement questions? Because there are 2 statements. So the first statement, according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, esteem/ego needs must be satisfied before self-actualization needs can be used to motivate workers. Is that true or false? According to Herzberg, pay is a hygiene factor. Is that true or false? So decide whether the statement is true or false, and then choose an option, A, B, C, or D. So if you think both statements are true, choose A. If you think both statements are false, choose D, and you can work the others out yourself. So 2 statements, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and Herzberg, 2 popular motivational theorists. What do we think? Is it A, B, C, or D? So according to Maslow, esteem or ego needs must be satisfied before self-actualization needs can be used to motivate workers. And according to Herzberg, that's Frederick Herzberg, Freddie to his friends, pay is a hygiene factor. Let's reveal the answer. Both are true. So Maslow's theory says, a factor will only motivate if the previous needs have been satisfied. So if a worker's esteem or ego needs aren't satisfied, then trying to motivate that worker with something further up the hierarchy will not motivate them, according to Maslow's theory. It's just a theory, okay? Now, Herzberg, pay is a hygiene factor. It's not a motivator. So, according to Herzberg, pay, giving workers extra pay will only reduce dissatisfaction. It won't motivate. Again, it's just a theory, according to Herzberg. Okay, next question. So, lots of key terms here. To the number of subordinates reporting to a manager it's called one of those. Is it span of control? Is it empowerment? Is it chain of command? Is it hierarchy? So when you're looking at organizational structures and organizational design, there's lots of key terms there that you need to be really familiar with. Is it span of control? Is it empowerment? Is it chain of command? Is it hierarchy? It's definitely one. I can certainly see the answer on screen. Yeah, I can see the answer. Lots going for A, some going for C. I don't know what planted that seed. Shall we reveal the answer? It is A. And I told you I can see the answer on screen. It was A. Span of control is the answer. So the number of subordinates reporting to a manager is called the span of control. Now, a span of control generally can be wide, which we would associate with a flat organizational structure, meaning each manager has lots of staff to supervise or manage, whereas a narrow span of control has the opposite. Both have pros, both have cons. Let's have a look at, I think it's the last MCQ, excuse me, and it's those pesky two-statement questions. According to Maslow, a piece rate method of payment will usually motivate workers. According to Taylor, a piece rate method of payment will usually motivate workers. Is that true or false? Each statement, is it true or false? Is it A, B, C, or D? So according to Maslow, a piece rate method, be careful with the terminology usually. What would we usually associate piece rate payment with? Which motivational theory would we associate piece rate with? Piece rate, of course, is a payment where you are paid for each item you maybe manufacture. So the more you manufacture, the more you get paid. So there's a specific motivational theorist argued that the more you pay people, the more they're motivated. And it's either Maslow or Taylor. What do we think? Shall we reveal the answer? Yeah, it is C. Now, according to Maslow, a piece rate method of payment would usually motivate us. Maslow argued that there were softer needs or other things surrounding the job, such as social needs, your esteem needs, self-actualization, safety needs, that would motivate workers, as long as the previous needs have been met, of course. And according to Taylor, yeah, a piece rate method of payment usually motivates. Taylor was big on pay, time and motion, doing things efficiently and paying people for the amount they produce. So that is it. I do believe the end of our MCQ. So we've got a calculation blast here. Now, it's not something we would normally associate really with organisational structures, but you would associate with motivation. So last year, the labour turnover of business was 8%, as 40 employees left the business. To reduce labour turnover, sort of shoehorn something in here about motivation, the managers of the business have implemented several financial and non-financial methods of motivation. This year, the business employs 600 staff, and the management believe that the number of staff leaving the business will be 2/5 lower than last year. Now, if you look at the quantitative skills at the back of the specifications, fractions is on there. So, you need to be familiar with fractions, ratios, averages. So this tests our understanding of fractions. So based on that information, can you calculate the estimated labour turnover of the business this year? Now, before John starts the music, you may not have covered, depending on your spec, really. It's usually year 12, but if I think Excel, I might come up in year 13. My bad. So last year, labour turnover was 8%, 40 employees left the business. This year, the business employs 600 staff. The management believe that the number of staff leaving the business will be 2/5 lower than last year. What is the estimated labour turnover? Now, if you've not covered it yet, labour turnover calculation, it's a percentage. So it's the amount of staff that have left the business during the period divided by the number of employees in the business. So you can work it out from that. John, start the music, please. Now, LUZ there, Luz, is in immediately with a percentage. So according to Luz, 4% of the staff are estimated to leave this year, which is lower than the 8%, which would tie in with the statement implementing financial and non-financial methods of motivation. So what we would need to do there is, before we reveal the answer, if we're saying that the number of staff leaving the business is 2/5 lower than last year, we know there's 40 employees left last year. So we need to reduce that number by 2/5, and we should know that 2/5 can be converted to a percentage. And convert 2/5 to a percentage. Then decrease 40 by that number. Then divide that by the number of employees. And times by 100. So labour turnover is the amount of employees who left during a period divided by the total number of employees during that period times 100. Now, Daniel, don't stress. There's no need, because your exams aren't till summer 2025. So you've plenty of time to practice labour turnover. And, you're here, which is a credit to yourself and everyone else has joined us. That's why we're running these sessions now, covering, year 12 concepts, because you may have forgot, you may have been off that lesson. So now you can think, well, I don't know how to calculate labour turnover. And, if you're an AQA student, it's traditionally year 12 topic. But that doesn't matter. Teachers can teach any order they want. Shall we reveal the answer? And it was 4%. So the estimated number of staff leaving this year. So we know, don't we, that 2/5 is 40%. So to reduce the number by 40%, we times by 0.6. So, or you could have just found 40% of 40 and took that away. So we know 24 employees are estimated to leave this year. The total number of employees this year is 600. 24 divided by 600 times 100 is 4%. So it's estimated that, it's estimated that 4% of the employees will leave the business this year. Contrast that with 8%. So it looks as though those financial and non-financial methods of motivation should work. Good stuff. Shall we move on to the next question? Now, it's a favourite of mine, this. It's called the 10-second countdown. So what we want you to do is, that rocket is going to take off when I say, press the button, John. And then it'll count down. You've got the time it takes the rocket to disappear to maybe think of a benefit of moving from a tall structure to a flat structure. So think of why a business might move from a structure that is tall to one that is flat, and type a possible answer or suggestion into the chat window. This activity is really out of this world. John, start the countdown, please.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
We teamed up with Pixar for that animation. We used the entire £7.80 innovation budget for to you to come up with that one. So, what do we think? So, so improve communication. Yeah, obviously you'd have to put that in context. You could argue that maybe increased employee empowerment. That's a good one. Yeah, there's a high visibility. Better teamwork. Well, you'd have to explain these, because teamwork could happen in a tall structure, but maybe there's more opportunities for teamwork in a flat structure. So maybe improve communication, lower chain of command, smaller chain of command. Empowerment's an interesting one, isn't it? Because if you're moving from a tall structure to a flat structure, you might be moving to a wider span of control, which therefore means workers are empowered more. That could be a benefit. You have a look at some suggestions that we had. So lower staff costs, because generally if you're moving from tall to flat, you've got a delay. So that would mean removing usually middle managers. Those middle managers are vulnerable, aren't they? When it comes to organisational structures. They're always the first to go, moving from tall to flat. So there might be a lesson there, but I don't really want to say it on a live. So maybe lower staff costs. Now, why I've said medium to short, long term there is, if you've got to get rid of staff, then you have to maybe make them redundant. So there'll be redundancy payments. So in the short term, costs may increase. But over the medium to long term, you'd probably have lower staff costs because you're not paying those middle managers. They've gone. Now, increased motivation, and that ties in with what lots of people said about empowerment. So maybe increase opportunities for delegation and wider and increased spans of control. And you would associate a flatter structure with perhaps quicker communication due to a shorter chain of command. So maybe the business can become more responsive, which is useful in dynamic markets, and maybe react quicker to customer needs. So tall structures generally have more bureaucracy. There are more layers to go through, where if it's a flat structure, decisions are more likely to be made quicker. That's what we call a hedging word, likely to. Not guaranteed, but likely to. Well done, everyone, for having a go. Should we have a look at our next activity now? This image isn't to scale, but what we're going to do is we're going to try and balance out centralization and decentralization. So what I'd like to think of is two benefits to a business of having a centralized organizational structure. Now, remember, centralization is where decisions are usually kept at the center of a business, maybe at head office. And it's usually only a few individuals who have the power to make decisions. But what is a benefit of that? What is a benefit of having an organizational structure where decision making is really kept at the center, which is centralization? What do we think? Have a type into the chat window to see what we can come up with. Any ideas? So you think about a business that's maybe got, say, a head office and, say, a retailer with 60 shops. What's the benefit of having all the decisions relating to those shops made at head office, as opposed to decentralization, which is where decision making would be spread out through the organization? So consistency of decision making, that's a really interesting one. You know, in terms of McDonald's is a really good example of a centralized organization. Like if I go to McDonald's, which I rarely do, to be fair, if I went to one in Sunderland, I would imagine the prices and the quality of the product and the promotions would be the same if I went to one in Leeds. Clear direction, control. I like that, Lowe's there. Consistency. Yeah, there's the potential for reduced costs. Maybe if for example, purchasing supplies, if head office are purchasing for every single outlet, for example, then they may benefit from purchasing economies of scale because they're buying more amounts. Consistency is really good. Consistent decision making is probably where it's at. Clear direction, control. Good stuff. Should we see what we come up with? So yeah, consistency through the business and easier to implement common policies and practices for the business as a whole. Now, we need to balance that now with two benefits of having a decentralized structure. So now really, so you couldn't do the opposite of that because that would be a downside. So what is the benefit of having decentralization? So rather than all the decisions being made at head office, maybe they're made locally. Now, before I was a school teacher, I used to be a store manager for B&Q, the do-it-yourself place, and we were allowed to run our own promotions at store level. So it meant that when I moved to certain stores, I could implement promotions that were unique to that store. So what is the benefit of that? So we've got faster decision making. That's an interesting one, yeah. Because they can be made at a local level. Employee empowerment and motivation, yes, by empowering employees maybe at branch level or shop level to make decisions. Maybe that could motivate and could empower employees. So, for example, I use the B&Q approach again. All the checkout operators were empowered to decide whether or not a customer should get a refund. They didn't have to check with a manager. They didn't have to check with head office. We just trusted them to do that and trusted them that they would get it right. So again, you could argue that those checkout staff were motivated by having a bit more responsibility. Maybe they felt empowered and motivated. And you could link that to a motivational theorist. Maybe their esteem needs were met, which would motivate as long as the previous needs were met, as they were empowered and trusted to make decisions. So we have a look at what we had, John. So better able to meet the needs of the local market. So, for example, when I worked at a certain B&Q store, we were able to choose which products we had on promotion, which would therefore better meet the needs of the local area. And again, increased staff motivation, which I think a lot of people got about motivation, decision-making, empowerment. Great stuff. Now I think we're on to the final two activities. We've got our random application spinner here. So we're going to finish off with motivation. Now we're testing the skill of application here. So we've had a lot of theoretical answers in the chat window, which is tippity top. What we want now is we want some application. So you've got some business there. We've got a clothes shop, an airline, a handmade furniture manufacturer. So this makes furniture handmade, a car showroom, a cinema, and a restaurant. Now that random spinner is going to land on one of them. We've got no idea what it's going to land on. So it's much fun for John and I as it is for you. So whatever it lands on, wow, restaurant. Now, so what we'd like to think of is how would having motivated workers benefit a restaurant? Now, we don't want generic, answers that could apply to any of those businesses. You have to link your answer to the restaurant. So think about you may have been in a restaurant, you may not have been in a restaurant. Chances are you have. How would a restaurant benefit from having motivated workers. Think of the type of workers who work in a restaurant. What are they called? And how would that restaurant benefit from those specific workers? Benefit. That's a really good way of thinking it. Think of the type of staff who work in a restaurant. What are they called? And how would that restaurant benefit from those being motivated? So if it was an airline, you'd be thinking like staff like cabin crew. How would the airline benefit from those being motivated? But we don't have cabin crew in restaurants, unless it's a flying restaurant, of course. I'm not sure that one exists, but there's an opportunity there. So what do we think? Now, we've got the word waiters there, Luz, so I quite like that. Better quality customer service from the waiters. So again, you'd have to develop that and explain how specifically that would benefit the restaurant. But, we're getting there. The word waiters roots it in the context. Happy waiters, happy customers. Now, you use the word customers there. We could change that because every business has customers. So airlines have passengers, they're customers. Tesco has shoppers, they're customers. So we could change the word customers to something else to make sure we're talking about a restaurant. So what do we call people who use a restaurant called? What are the customers called? Again, it's about thinking all the way through and trying to make sure your answer is fully applied. So I think we've gone down the customer service route, which is really, really good. Sometimes I've been sat in a restaurant, they ask you to wait at the bar till there's a table ready, and I've seen that some of the tables, the diners who've been there before me have left ages ago, but the waiters have still not cleared that table, which means that it's called the table turnover rate. How quickly the restaurant turns the tables over to get more diners to eat there. Shall we have a look at what we had? So the service within a restaurant may improve. For example, more attentive waiters, which could enhance the dining experience. So maybe, they take the time taking your order. How often have you been at a restaurant and then they've took your order down wrong and you've been given the wrong meal? Maybe they sell you the specials or ask if you want pudding at the end. Increase labour productivity. So Luz had that, yeah. So reduce wait times is brilliant. So increase better productivity so the orders are correct and the food is good. Reduce wait time. So increase labour productivity. The waiters may work faster. Remember, the word may is a hedging word. They may not work faster, but they may. This may reduce diners' waiting time and increase table turnover rate. So the quicker they turn those tables over, the more they can. Yeah, nice one, Luz. Yeah, that was nice. The quicker they can get people sat down and finishing their meals and get them out of there, get more people in. Great stuff. Should we do one more of these? I think we have to, because it's on the next slide. Hopefully it lands on a different business. So the same applies. Apply whatever it lands on to the benefits of a motivated workforce. Now we've got a furniture manufacturer that makes their products handmade. So, not using maybe like floor production, maybe more job production or batch production. So maybe, made a little bit more handmade products there. What do we think? So maybe the benefits are the same, but it's the words we use that are different, aren't they? It's the words we use. So what do we think? So we got a business that makes furniture, and the workers hand make that furniture. How would that furniture manufacturer benefit from having a motivated workforce? What do we think? Any ideas? I think maybe this is slightly more difficult, but think the type of products a furniture manufacturer makes, like tables and chairs. Tables, chairs, sofas, desks. Happy factory work. So I like the word factory, that roots it there. Increase production, more to sell, increase revenue, increase profits. Yeah. Again, you would explain those, you'd explain how and why those link, but that's a really good. I like the word factory. So increase labour turnover, that could allow them maybe to take more orders on. Now, better quality furniture, more durable. That again, we're getting there, aren't we? Because you could argue that furniture that's more durable, such as tables and chairs, gives them a better reputation against other furniture manufacturers such as IKEA. That technique I've just used there, it's called such as seasoning. So what you can do is you can season your answer using such as to get more context. So if we take Luz's point there, better quality furniture such as tables and chairs, which leads them to be more durable, meaning they last longer. This could give them a better reputation and help them to compete with more mass market furniture manufacturers such as IKEA. I love a bit of seasoning as well. We do assault some answers. We put a little bit of salt and pepper on the answer using such as seasoning, and it just changes what could be, and not here, a rather bland, tasteless response to one that is well seasoned. Shall we have a look at what we had? So, workers may take more pride in their work. Do you know what? I think I should have used factory workers there. That would have been better. I missed an opportunity there. Workers may take more pride in their work, which may lead to better craftsmanship. Now, you wouldn't associate the word craftsmanship with waiting staff, really. So that's why it's rooted in this industry, such as tables and chairs. Increase labour productivity. The manufacturing staff, that's better, isn't it? That's a better answer for myself then. I'm pleased with that. May make more furniture, there's some application, in the same amount of time, allowing a quicker turnaround for furniture orders, such as tables. So if you just pull that answer apart, we see the such as seasoning, tables and chairs and tables. So basically, if we didn't have that in there, if we just had better quality products, then that could apply to lots of different businesses. But by using such as seasoning, we have rooted it in the context of the business we are thinking of. So that concludes today's live stream. I hope you found it useful. Thanks so much for getting involved and joining us today. We'll be running one of these next Tuesday, same time. For the life of me, I can't remember what it is, but I'll find out, and I'll write some questions for it. For more help and support, please follow us on ChittyTube Business Instagram page, where we post regular revision questions. And we may see you at one of our live events. We are running a workshop in November called Strong Foundations, which is for AQA and EdXL students, which is just a day dedicated to exam technique. And we may also see you in our grade booster workshops next year, where we focus specifically on AQA and our AQA grade booster workshops, or EdXL and our EdXL workshops. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time out to join us. Thanks to everyone who got. There's John there. John's just come in at the end. John made the magic happen. He's like the Walt Disney of the live streams. So thanks again for joining us, and hopefully see you next week. Bye for now.